Thiruchitrambalam, Hara Hara Nama Parvati, Badaye, Hara Hara Mahadeva, Sitsavesa, Siva Sidambaram, Tenaruடைய சிவனே போற்றி எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி திருச்சிற்றம்பலம் எடுக்கும் மாக்கதை இந்தமிழ் செய்யுளாய் நடக்கும் மேன்மை நமக்கருள் செய்திட தடக்கை ஐந்துடை தாழ் செவி நீள்புடி கடக்களிற்றை கருத்துள் இருத்துவாம் உலகலாம் உணர்ந்து ஓதற்கரியவன் நிலவுலாவி நிர்மலி வேணியன் அலகில் சோதியன் அம்பலத்து ஆடுவான் மலர் சிலம்படி வாழ்த்தி வணங்குவாம் சைவத்தின் மேற் சமயம் வேறிலை அதில் சார் சிவமாம் தெய்வத்தின் மேற் தெய்வமில்லனும் நான்மறைச் செம்பருள் வாய்மை வைத்த சீர் திருத்தேவாரமும் திருவாசகமும் உய்வை தரச் செய்த நால்வர் பொற்றாள் எம்முயிர் துணையே தில்லைவாழந்தனரை முதலாக சீர்படைத்த துளையதாம் திருத்தொண்ட தொகைடியார் பதம் போற்றி உலையவர் புராண கதை உலகறிய விரித்து புரைத்த செல்வமலி குன்றத்தூர் செக்கிழார் அடி போற்றி ஆதாரமாகிய மாணிக்க வாசகர் பாதார விந்தம் பணிவோம் பண்டு செய்த தீதான பாவங்கள் எல்லாம் தீர்ந்து ஞானோதயம் வந்து கூடிடுமே திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Dear devotees, welcome back to the Periyapuranam Discourse series. Today we're here to think through the wonderful history of Shri Thirumoola Nayanar. Let me bow my head to the lotus feet of Thiruchitrambalam and also to the 57th Pontiff of Gunavatti Kalyanapuri Adina, Srila Sri Guru Mahasannidhanam, Srila Sri Rajasaravana Manikaswami Swamigal as well. By the grace of the Almighty Lord Shiva, let's go ahead and get started with the wonderful history of Shri Thirumoola Nayanar. Thirumoola Nayanar, he lived in Kailash. So that's how Thiruchitrambalam starts the Periyapuranam for Thirumoola Nayanar history. In Mount Kailash, Thirumoola Nayanar lives there along with all other Shiva yogis. Nandi Devar, the guru of all our, the topmost guru of Shaivist, the foremost protector of Mount Kailash. He had many disciples who had mastered in Vedas and Agamas. Of them, Thirumoola Nayanar, now we call him Thirumoola Nayanar, but in Kailash, his name was Shivayogi Sundaranathan. Sundaranathan was the foremost topper among all of them. So Sundaranathan wished to meet sage Agastya to have some intellectual conversations with him. Sage Agastya resides in Pudigimalai, which is South India, South Kailash. Sundaranathan resides in Kailash, Mount Kailash, North India. So he wished to go to Pudigimalai where Sage Agastya resides. Then he decided to travel to south, and on his way to Pudigimalai, he also worshipped many temples. So his pilgrimage started with Kedareshwar, a wonderful temple, Kedareshwar. He had a great darshan of Sri Kedarnathar, and then he went to Nepal, Kathmandu, Pasupatinatha temple. He had a great darshan of Pasupatinatha. And then he came to Sri Shaivam, Andhra Pradesh now, right now, Mallikarjuneshwara. And then South Kailash, Sri Kalahasti. He had a great darshan of Sri Kalahastishwarar. And then he paid his obeisance to the Lord of Thirumoola, Kanchipuram, Kampareshwarar, Kamachi, Goddess Kamachi. Then he reached Thillai. He spent some time in Thillai, had a great darshan of the dancing Lord Raja. And finally, he reached a wonderful, spacious temple, Thiruvadurai. The god residing in Thiruvadurai is Sri Masila Manishwarar. The goddess name is Opila Layamai. Goddess Parvati said to have assumed the form of a cow and did Shiva Puja in this wonderful temple. That's why it's also called Gomathinayagam. And right next to Thiruvardurai temple, we also have the oldest Shaivam at Thiruvardurai Adinam, started by the great Srinamashyanti Swami as well. So Thiruvardurai, now Thirumoola Nayanar is in Thiruvardurai. He spent a bit more time than he actually thought. For some reason, he didn't want to leave Thiruvardurai. But still, he was very sure he needs to go to Periyapuranam to meet his friend Sage Agastya. But one day he was walking by the side of the river Kaveri in Thiruvardurai, and he saw a cow herd named Thirumoolan grazing a herd of beautiful cows and calves on the bank of Kaveri. Thirumoolan was a very kind, gentle guy, very kind to those cattle. They loved him so much because he took good care of them. So he was living a simple life in the village. So Sundaranadar, he stood fascinated watching the cows grazing. The cows is usually cow is very auspicious for us in Shaivism. Cow is very, very auspicious. We covered a lot about cows in Sunday's Nayanar Puranam. In case if you, for some reason, if you don't recall it, I would recommend going back to Sunday's Nayanar Puranam in this playlist, and there we covered the fame of cow. So Naina, just watching the cows grazing on the bank of the river, suddenly the Moolan, the cow herd, got bitten by a snake and then dropped down dead. He immediately fell down. He's dead. The cows and calves stood around the dead body of Moolan, and they shed copious tears because they loved him so much. You could even see nowadays, if we have cows at home, when someone is dead, you could see cows shedding tears. The cows got so scared and let out piteous moaning sounds, missing their cow herd, and they started running here and there aimlessly, don't know what to do next. Sundaranadar was moved to pity by these sights and sounds. Then he said, Nambarurlal avuttathe, with the grace of Lord Shiva, I will help them. Then he was worried that the cows and calves might end their lives pining for their loving cow herd. Then he decided to help the poor creatures. One thing is that since he is a Shiva yogi, Sundaranadar, he knew the technique of entering into another body, leaving his own body temporarily. It's one of the, it's called Atamasiti. We have 8 Atamasiti: Anima, Mahima, Lahima, Karima, Prati, Prahamyam, Isatma, Sittama. Prahamyam is a technique where one can enter into another body, leaving his own body. So, Thirumoola Nayanar decided to use that technique to help the cows. See, this is another point we need to remember. He has atamasati. He has the capability of atamasati. Jnanis never misuse the capability gifted by Lord to them. They just use it for the welfare of religion. So Sundaranadar cast aside his own body and kept that safe in a protected area. Then entered into his soul, entered into the body of cowherd Moolan. Then he woke up very much alive, more like resurrected. Now his name is Thirumoola, not just Moolan. Just Moolan was a cowherd. Now Sundaranadhan got up as Thirumoola. Then the joy of the cows and calves knew no bounds. They jumped and danced around him, and they were just licking him. And then he continued to protect the cows grazing on the bank of Kaveri. When the evening came, it was time to return to their homes. Then the cows started walking back to the village by themselves. He was just following them to make sure that the cows go back to their homes. But all the cows went back to the respective gosalas and houses. Then Thirumoola Nayanar did not. Thirumoola Nayanar could not go to his home. He could not go to Moolan's home, so he decided to just sit down somewhere in the village. In the meantime, Moolan's wife was waiting for him. Right? He was waiting for her. He did not come home. So she grew very restless and then went out looking for him. Then she spotted Thirumoola Nayanar. Then he rushed to him and asked him any questions. I was expecting you to be home by 5, 6 p.m. What happened? Who was in fact the Shiva Yogi Sundaranathar, no longer Moolan. So he did not reply. She tried to touch him to get a response, but he kept away from her and said, "No, don't touch me. I'm not your husband. I'm not husband. I'm not your husband." And she was shocked. Moolan's wife could not make head or tail of these words and went back home. Then Thirumoola Nayanar went to a mud in the same village. He was just doing some meditation there. The next day, Moolan's wife came along with her relatives, well-wishers, to the place where Thirumoola Nayanar was sitting there. Her well-wishers, they said, "How could you do this, Moolan? What happened to you? You asked your wife, you told your wife you're not her husband anymore. What happened to you?" Then Thirumoola Nayanar looked at them. Then they were actually surprised by the aura and glow they saw in Thirumoola Nayanar's face. He shone like a real rishi, which in fact he really was. So then they tried to convince him, "It's your wife. You got married. How can you just leave her alone?" Then they couldn't convince him. They gave up. They told Moolan's wife, "Your husband suddenly became a venerable rishi. Your hopes of living with him as his wife now seem far-fetched and impossible. We need to let him go." Then she gave up, and now Thirumoola Nayanar went back to the same place where he left his own body there, kept it safe. But guess what? It has gone missing. He couldn't see his body. Then he realized it's the holy prank of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva made it disappear, and the Lord's wish is that he wanted Thirumoola Nayanar to render all Shivagamas in Tamil. And he realized that. Devi Chekla Swamigal composed a wonderful verse when he started describing how he started the first song of Thirumandaram. "Unudambil piravi vidam thirndu ulagathor uyya. ஞான முதல் 4 மலர் தந்திரமாலை பான்மைமறை ஓராண்டு கொன்றாக பரம்பொருளாம் ஏனையீர் அணிந்தாரை ஒன்றவன்தான் என எடுத்து." So Lord Shiva wanted him to render Shivagamas in Tamil that describes the 4 paths leading to salvation of the soul: Sariya, Kiriya, Yogam, and Jnana. And Devi Chekla Swami will compare this birth and death cycle to a poison. Unudambil piravi vidam. So birth and death is as equal as poison. You eat a poison, what happens? You're dead. That's it. That's what happens. You come to this world and you're stuck with this body. Literally, you're dead. And in order for the souls in this world to get rid of this birth and death poison, Lord Shiva made Thirumoola Nayanar compose this wonderful scripture, Tamil scripture called Thirumandaram. The first song Thirumoola Nayanar composed is this: Thiruchitrambalam. ஒன்றவன் தானே இரண்டவன் இன்னருள் நின்றனன் மூன்றினுள் நான்கு உணர்ந்தான் ஐந்து வென்றனன் ஆறு விரிந்தனன் எழும்பச் சென்றனன் தான் இருந்தான் உணர்ந்து எட்டே. That's the first song of Thirumoola. Thirumoola Nayanar became one with Lord Shiva. He presented Shivagamas in Tamil as Thirumantram. So Thirumantram is classified into 9 tantrams. And tantram, in the sense, it's called agama and the sections. And it describes the 4 paths leading to salvation of the soul. Sariye, Kiriye, Yogam, Jnanam, elaborately. Thirumoola Nayanar composed 1 verse every year. So he'll be in meditation all days. And then he will sing 1 verse for that year. Then he'll go back to meditation. He's credited to have lived for 3,000 years and rendered 3,000 verses. That's 3,000 songs. Moolan urai seida மூவாயிரம் தமிழ். Thirumandram is the essence of Shaiva agamas presented in Tamil. Jnanapadas, important. Only Jnanapada. Shaiva agamas mainly focused on Jnanapada. It has been assigned as a 10th Thirumurai in Shaivism. Out of 12 Thirumurai, 10th Thirumurai is Thirumoola Nayanar. Thirumoola is not just one of the 63 Nayanmars, also he is one of the Siddhas as well. Those who read and recite the verses of Thirumandram early in the morning will surely reach the lotus feet of Pasupatinatha. Thirumoola Nayanar completed 3,000 verses, 3,000 years, and then one fine day he merged with the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. Dear devotees, when you get a chance to spend some time to explore Thirumandram, it's an ocean. It is an ocean. Now you could also see the translated Thirumandram. It's been translated in a few languages, especially it's available in English as well. It's a big ocean. So do plan to explore it when you get a chance. That's all about the wonderful history of Thirumoola Nayanar. And said that, let's end the class for today. Thiruchitrambalam என்ற பின்பம் வெறுகுமேல் பின்னால் ஒன்று காதலித்து உள்ளம் என்கிற மன்றுளார் அடியார் அவர் வான்புகள் என்றது எங்கும் நிலவி உலகலாம். திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். ஹர ஹர நம பார்வதி வதையே. ஹர ஹர மகாதேவா. சித்சவேசா சிவசிதம்பரம். தென்னாடுடைய சிவனே போற்றி, நாட்டோர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Thirumoola Nayanar மலரடிகள் போற்றி போற்றி.